Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and this is the channel Ruffalo Reads. So thank you so much for being here, being with me and bearing with me really over the last probably months. Yeah, so I know I'm a little late to the train, obviously, but I was hoping to film this and edit this because I love these videos. You know, it's always fun to do like a kind of checkup. And I know that I am technically a little past the mid-month, or the mid-year, but we're still gonna do it because I just wanna keep up with it every year because I think it's really cool to look back on and stuff too. So we have the mid-year book freakout tag and let's get into all the questions. So we're starting off really strong with the first question being, what is the best book you've read so far this year? And I feel like this kind of spoils like end of year videos, but that's okay because, you know, maybe some other books will come in and just completely blow you away more than these ones. Okay, however, I'm gonna go kind of in succession, I think that's the right word, of, you know, when I read them. So starting off the year really strong, actually. I read this really early on and I actually own all my favorite books that I've read this year, and I'm just mentioning three. I don't know if that matters, but An Optimist's Guide to Heartbreak by Jennifer Hartman. This book shattered me. I've talked about it on my channel a couple times. It is the first in a duet. I do own both of them. It's An Optimist's Guide to Heartbreak and then A Pessimist's Guide to Love. However, I definitely loved the first book, like mountains more, miles more, whatever you want to say. It's between Cal and Lucy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and it's just their journey. It's very emotional in typical Jennifer Hartman fashion. He's a mechanic. She is moving back to town. She bought his old childhood home and there was a trauma, a shared trauma, I guess, that they both endured and that separated them, and now they're back trying to work through it. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but just know this book will absolutely break you if you want to cry, if you want to feel something. It's also just greatly paced and lengthed. Like, I feel like there's so many books coming out lately that are so long, and I'm just like, come on. How are we ever gonna meet our goals if these books are so damn long? But this is so nice. It's like 200 and something, and it's so good. I love Jennifer Hartman. Okay, honestly, these next two are ones that I've read recently, and I can't exactly remember which one I read first. I think it's this one. So I read Parallel by Elizabeth O'Rourke, I think last year, if I'm not mistaken. It was like last summer, yeah. And I absolutely loved it. I loved Elizabeth O'Rourke's writing. And that one was like a time travel romance. So not my typical like thing, but absolutely loved it. And then I don't know what it was, but this month or last month, I can't remember, I got into like this Elizabeth O'Rourke like binge. Like I think I bought so many of them off Audible during the sale, even though I don't think they were that great of deals. I just was like, bye. By the way, side note, I just finally downloaded and figured out Hoopla. I've been using Libby for forever and I'm not dissing Libby right now, but there's so many more options on Hoopla. I'm like shocked and I'm disgusted with myself because I waited so long to try it. I thought that it was going to be the same because I'm like, well, it's the library. It has to be the same. It's not. Anyways, The Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I think this is her new release too from this year. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 2023. Which, wow. I love this book. Love this fucking book. So it's an angsty second chance forbidden romance, and it is it kind of has a lot to do with religion in a way because the main female character stays with the pastor's family of this town because she comes from a very abusive household. Her mom is not doing well and she ends up in all these relationships with very shitty men that are abusive and horrible. So, you know, this family takes her in. This is not a part of the family. He is the brother's best friend. So we kind of have brother's best friend kind of thing going on. And it starts from like young to, you know, 30s or something, late 20s like that. And I just love her style of writing. And I love the then and now and piecing the puzzle pieces together as you go along. It just like is so satisfying. Also love her covers. Like he is gorgeous. But I just love like that real romance cover feel, like the soft matte, the beautiful man, like it's just perfect. And I think that this book also is just like, you know, yeah, like just under 300 pages. Like I like that. The pacing is good. I feel like you fly through it and it keeps you on the edge of your seat, because I feel like at the end of each chapter, it kind of is like leaving you not on a cliffhanger, but like you're wanting to get back to the other timeline and figure out, you know, what's going on in each. So yeah, I would highly recommend, if you've never tried Elizabeth O'Rourke, just give her a try. I just don't see how you wouldn't connect with at least something that she writes, because the way that she writes is so easy to get into. All right, next up is one that completely blew me away, because sadly, I had this on my TBR, like I had bought it off Audible or something and had it there for months. And I heard about it from Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl. Like she was raving about it. It was all over her Instagram. And I was like, oh, that sounds like pretty good. Like, I don't know. Like I bought it, so I'm gonna read it. I don't know why I thought it was what did I think it was? I think I thought it was like a baseball romance or something. But this book is Home Game, and wow. Also, this is, I think number 2 or 3 or something in a series, and I have not read the other books, so I definitely want to. But I just needed to try this one because, oh, it's number 2, because of how much Cheyenne raved about it. And when I tell you I love this book, I fucking love this book. Okay, it's between our female main character. Again, it's like a unique female main character. She is homeless. And she's also like insanely like mathematically smart. Could never be me. But she helps this Vancouver Wolves like legit star football hockey player and blows him away kind of. And then he ends up by, you know, a circumstance of events helping her, and, you know, subsequently it's their story of how they fall in love, obviously. But the events, you know, that take place in this book are beautiful. The little trips to IKEA are iconic and so sweet. And their protectiveness of each other and just the vibes of their relationship. Like she wrote this so well, and I can't believe that like this romance with this homeless, you know, female main character was done in this way to make it so believable and also beautiful and just deeply moving and sweet. And it was just everything. Like, and the camaraderie that grows between the hockey players of this team, because it doesn't start off that way, it's just beautiful to see as well. And her relationships that grow with the different hockey players are also really beautiful. So if you have not yet tried this, which by the way, I love my cover that I have. I know the other cover is just like abs, and I feel like that cover makes me feel like it's baseball, and I cannot explain that because there's no like sports anything on that cover, but for some reason the way he's standing, I just think it makes me think of baseball. But anyways, I do love this cover. It is the more like subtle, vague cover, but whatever, that's beside the point. I think that you should definitely give Odette Stone a chance, and I definitely need to read more from her because wow. All right, I feel like I just talked for so long, and that was only question number 1. So we're gonna try to not do that. The next question is the best sequel that you've read so far this year. And I've read, honestly, a lot of sequels. Like, weirdly, I've been reading like romance sequels or romance series, like in succession, and just actually reading the series. So in years past, that was definitely not the case. So it's pretty interesting. But I have a lot of sequels that I've read. So I wanted to mention Hidden Waters by Catherine Cowles from the Tattered and Torn series. I believe it's book number 3, and it is between Beckett and Addie, and it is beautiful. She comes from a kind of cult family. She has a very damaged, hard past. He is coming back to the town as a doctor, and I think that they might have to end up by living together, and he kind of helps her move past her trauma, and she helps him do the same. And it's beautiful, and I love Catherine Cowles, and I love that series. I think I've read them all. Really good. And then I also wanted to mention, which I feel like was really talked about at one point and then really fell off, and I haven't heard much from her, and I hope she's writing more, but that's B.K. Borison's In the Weeds. This was just absolutely precious and so sweet. It's the second book in her series. I can't remember the name of the series, so forgive me. The first one is like a Christmassy one, and then this one is just, it's not Christmassy, but it's still based on this farm. But it's between the groundskeeper of the farm and the woman who's coming to interview the owner of the farm for this like social media competition. But they had a night or a few nights in New York when they were both traveling there for some reason, and then they never heard from each other again. So they kind of have this antagonistic vibe at first, and then yeah, it's their romance, and it's very mature, it's very sweet, communicative, it's low angst. So if you want a lot of angst, you're not going to really get that here, but you're going to get something very mature and sweet and lovely and just written very beautifully, honestly. So I would love to see more come from BK Borison because she has a definite talent with words. All right, new release you haven't read yet but want to. So first up is Megan Golden's Dark Corners. I got this off Book of the Month, obviously. She's written some romances, or no, some thrillers that I really enjoyed. One being The Night Swim, right, The Night Swim. I think this is actually the sequel to it in a weird way. Yeah, it's kind of the sequel, so I'm definitely intrigued. The Night Swim was very hard to read. It involved, I don't know if I can say, like sexual violence against women. And it's a podcaster and all this stuff that tries to like uncover the truth and whatever. I'm really excited for this. I'm gonna read it probably really soon. And then another one that I'm really excited for is by Julie Ann. It's Before Us. I've actually owned this for a few months now, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. It's pretty long. It's like 400 or something pages. But I am excited because I do love Julie Ann's writing. This book is beautiful. So I can't wait. I don't know much about it, honestly. It just has like a plane and stuff, and she's obviously traveling. So I'm assuming it's gonna be emotional and heartbreaking, and I'm ready for it, but just, you know, not quite yet. And then I have A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing. She's the same person who wrote My Lovely Wife, I think, and he started it, those kind of ones. So I liked My Lovely Wife. I did not like He Started It, which is, I think, a super unpopular opinion if you are into thrillers, so sorry. But yeah, I'm intrigued by this. It looks interesting because it's kind of like a mixture of romance and thriller, so I'm curious to see what she does there. And then there's one more, hold on. Oh yeah, Meet Your Match by Candy Steiner. Love her. This cover is awesome, and I need to read it, and I need to own it if I love it, because there's so many books by her that I've read and loved that I don't own yet, and I need to get more on top of my Amazon wish list because I've definitely been slacking. All right, next question is a fast one. I found it pretty redundant, but it's most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And I didn't really see many romances releasing for the second half of the year. I know there will be, obviously, but I just couldn't find them. So one that I definitely am excited about and definitely going to read is Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. It's her newest release. Alice Feeney is one of my absolute favorite thriller authors. She just kills me every time, and I love her. All right, next one is a book that was one of your biggest surprises, which this one is really obscure, but it's called, let me see what it's called. Curled Up with an Earl by Amy Rose Bennett. It's actually a historical romance, so I have never read historical romance until this year, so this is my first one ever. I feel lucky that it was. I got this as an ARC from NetGalley, and it just really surprised me. So the female main character is like a scientist. She's very smart, and like her dad knows this and her dad talks about it with her, but because her dad and her are on their own, he's trying to like get his daughter like married so that, I don't know, I guess back in the day like you needed to get married to like be a good part of society, and I don't know, whatever. So he's trying to get her married off, and he's kind of being like, you know, stop talking about science, like just be a lady. And she's like, no. Anyways, her brother was disowned by her father, and so he's been missing, and she is desperate to find him because they were really close and had a really great relationship. So it's kind of like also this mystery of her trying to like track down her brother. On top of that mystery, there's another mystery of this guy. I can't remember his name, but he comes and he's kind of like a house hand or whatever you want to say. Like he just helps with things around the house, but he's secretly undercover for the crown because there is a crime that was committed, then he's trying to uncover it. He thinks that it's, you know, either her dad or somebody like that that committed this crime. So they actually end up by teaming up because he's helping her find her brother, but also trying to like get information out of her. But they end up obviously falling in love as well. And there's a really cool reveal about the brother. This is like a very positive and unique historical romance featuring some things that I think were obviously frowned down upon, like being a part of the LGBTQ community and things like that. And her brother, you know, opens up to her, and it's just beautiful, and I really enjoyed it, and it totally surprised me because, I don't know, I'd never read a historical romance. They've never like caught my eye, and I was super glad that that was my first experience. So yeah. All right, next up we have favorite new author. So I wasn't sure like what to put for this because I've honestly been like rereading a lot of people, but for this I would say Elizabeth O'Rourke, even though I read one book from her last year. But like one book, she's pretty new to me. Like, and I read, I think 3 or 4 of her books this year. So she's definitely a favorite author of mine, a new favorite author of mine. Peter Swanson is definitely a favorite new to me author. I just love his writing, and it's very fun, like The Kind Worth Killing. And yeah, I definitely would say Peter Swanson. I love The Kind Worth Killing, The Kind Worth Saving. I want to read more from him as a thriller author. He's super fun and intriguing. And then I'd also would say Catherine Cowles. I can't remember if I started reading her at the end of last year or what, but I have like binged so many of her books at this point that I'm obsessed, and I love her. So I had to include her. Other than that, I don't really know like what to say because I haven't read many like new authors, like kind of thriller authors maybe, but yeah. Next one is like biggest, newest, whatever, fictional crush. Definitely Clay Johnson from Blindside, like, yes, he is everything. And Luke Taylor from The Summer We Fell, because I just love his whole vibe and demeanor and love him. All right, these ones are fast. Next, book that made you cry, book that made you sob uncontrollably and your family wonder if you're okay, more like. And then book that made you happy would be Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is a YA romance. I've read, obviously, Talia Hibbert's Brown Sisters series, which is an adult romance series. She handled the YA very well. Her humor was still there. I thought it had a great message. It was cute and quirky. I would love for like my daughter to grow up and read it when she's in high school or something, that kind of vibe. I don't read many YA, but I love when I do, and they're just like a breath of fresh air. It's kind of really a good palate cleanser too sometimes, so definitely this one made me happy. All right, next is most beautiful book you bought so far this year or received. And I would definitely have to say The Only Survivors. I've not read this yet, but just the freaking colors are killing me. Like, they are beautiful. And there's like this beautiful lake house. Like, it's just stunning, honestly. I have not heard good things, so I've not read this yet. And I'm scared to, but it's beautiful. And then Rewrite Your Story by Kat Singleton. Again, have not read this yet. I actually started it and got to page 7. So did not get far, but very pretty. They have like the chapters, and they have, I want to see if there's a different one as well to show you. Well, they're kind of all similar, but it's just beautiful. Like the back, all these, I just love the vibes of it. It's just very like end of summer, like romance, vintage vibes in the mountains with the fog. Love it. It's beautiful. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, considering I am 14 books behind schedule, I'm laughing, but it's painful. I've had a lot going on this year, honestly. Obviously, I got married. I've had some medical things come up, some emotional things happening, but I'm just hanging in there. I think that I'm starting to get back into, you know, reading a lot more and prioritizing it a lot more, which feels really nice because it's hard to focus for me sometimes on all these different things at once. Like, I feel like I either am focusing on, like, I'm mainly focusing on one thing, and that's like my main focus, right? So like I was doing my personal training, and that was like really my big focus. And after the wedding, that's definitely fallen off, which is also sad. And I do want to get back to like fitness and working out more, but I had an injury that prevented me. And then I had something else medical happening that was preventing me from, you know, getting out there. And then, you know, now my son is actually starting football, so it's really exciting. But I think that that'll actually give me a lot more time to read, because being at his practice for 2 hours, I can just be listening to an audiobook, you know, watching him practice and my daughter run around. It'll be good for me. And to be outside, it's just good for your mental health. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for bearing with me and for watching this kind of hopefully not too chaotic of a mid-year book freakout tag for 2023. Please let me know if you've read any of these or what your thoughts are, if you want to read any of them. But yeah, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.